Welcome to today's new features webinar, where we'll be showing you all of the new and exciting features that we've released this past month. My name is Amelia, and I'm a customer experience manager here at monday.com. I'd also like to introduce my amazing colleagues, Jose and Malia, who will be helping to answer all your questions throughout today's demo. While we get started, and we're going to get started in just a moment, since I do see that we still have people joining us right now, but while we get settled in, we'd love to know a little bit more about where everyone is joining us from. I'm currently based in Miami, Jose's in New York, and Malia is based in Texas, so let us know. I'll go ahead and repeat a couple of these things that I just mentioned in about a minute, just to make sure that everybody is here with us, and then we'll get started. All right, I see we have people joining from Colorado, Kentucky. All right, everyone in the States. Then we have Canada, welcome, welcome. All right, London, Los Angeles. This is amazing. Thank you all for joining us today. Again, I will wait for another minute or so to go ahead and start. Still have some more people joining us. This is absolutely amazing. Thank you all for joining us today. All right. Desde Mexico, we have Spain, Philippines, Tokyo. All right. Okay. So once again, I'm Amelia for those who just joined. I'll be joined by Jose and Malia, who will be answering all the questions on the Q&A. And let's go ahead and dive right in to the recap before we get started. So before we begin, you should be able to see my screen and hear me, but if that's not the case at any moment, please let us know by writing in the chat box so we can get it resolved as quickly as possible. Today's session will be made up of two parts, and first we'll be taking a look at our new features in action. Then we'll move into a live Q&A to answer your questions. And throughout the demo, please be sure to add your questions in the dedicated Q&A box. So not the chat box, the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen, since we will not be able to answer or see those questions on the chat box. Again, make sure you ask all the questions you have on the Q&A box in the bottom of the screen as well. We will try to get to as many questions as we can, but that said, there are a lot of us today. So if we don't get to your specific question, please feel free to check out our user community at community.monday.com, as it's likely someone else has already asked your question in the past and has had it answered. If not, you can always reach out to us at support@monday.com 24/7. Finally, you will be emailed a recording of today's session within 3 business days, so stay tuned. All right, everyone. Let's go ahead and dive right into our agenda. So today's agenda is going to be looking a little bit like this. We're going to go ahead and check out the rollout of Monday's homepage to all users. Then we're going to go check out the new board notification menu. Then we're also going to see a little bit about the docs. So we're going to cover the doc store, doc public links, the doc column. We're also going to tackle the dashboard sub-item filters, dashboard workload widget, and we also have a little bit on the mobile updates. And finally, we'll be finishing off with our Q&A session. With that, let's go ahead and jump over to my monday.com account. All right. Everyone, if you want to go ahead and let me know on the Q&A or the chat box to let me know if you can see my screen and hear me correctly or hear me fine, that would be great, just to be able to make sure that everybody is on the same page. Perfect, loud and clear. Thank you all. All right, so as you can all see my screen, I'm actually going to backtrack and go over to our homepage, as that is the first thing we're going to go ahead and cover. So let's dive right in and show you all the amazing updates released this month and give you a bit of insight behind their rollout. So you may be thinking, well, Amelia, where's the first feature we'll be discussing today as we just landed over here? Well, you're actually looking at it. Here's our new and improved Monday homepage. Some of you may have already had this for a while, and some of you may have just only recently had this, as it was a long gradual release. But finally, every account finally has it. So what does this mean for you and your team? it means that you can get relevant information at a glance when you open up monday.com. Instead of only seeing your inbox, you can also see those who recently viewed your boards and the recently viewed boards you've already seen, your inbox here, and you can also tackle all of the workspaces that you currently have on that account and that you are a member or subscriber of. With this amazing update comes another change as well. And I will go ahead and show that to you guys right now. But beforehand, I just want to go ahead and walk you through all of the different options that you do get when you check out the recently visited. So you actually can select more or show more, and you get to see the quick search and quick search through all of the boards on the account that you're subscribed to or have visibility to. All right. Sorry about that. The connection just got a little slow, but let me know if you guys can hear me one more time. Just want to make sure that everything is up to par. Perfect. All right. So we already went through the recently visited. Then we can also see the inbox over here. Then we also have the My Workspaces. I was able to go click a little bit ahead of time. And you can see here that we do have all of the workspaces you're subscribed to. And if you're not subscribed to any of them, or maybe you don't see any of them here yet, it might be, again, because maybe it's a brand new account or because your team hasn't subscribed you to them yet. Then, with this amazing update does come another change as well. And now you'll be able to toggle between accounts you're part of right from the avatar menu. So I don't know if some of you remember that beforehand, we had the option to go ahead and change the accounts that we were in right from this button here as well. On this new change, we actually are able to do so by switching accounts through the avatar menu. All you have to do is click on the avatar, then you go to where it says switch accounts, and then you can see the 3 different accounts that I'm a part of, but definitely if you have many more that you already logged into in that session, there really isn't a limit. You can sign into them automatically through here. Then the other thing you will notice is that there is a very fun holiday themed feature throughout your account, be it the top portion, as you can see here, the little skiers, or the chimney having cabin in the woods here when you go into your actual workspace. So down here. And now I know that it might be the case that sometimes when we're in a rush to get things done, some of you may have closed this automation for good and are wondering how to get it back. So look no further. You can actually do so by going over to Monday Labs. We're going to go ahead and slide to Monday Labs here. And then you can either find it where it says here, bring back left pane holiday animation, or you can actually type it up as well and activate. So once we go ahead and activate, it's going to go ahead and refresh our screen, and we should be able to see the automation or the animation, sorry about that, one more time. There you have it. Voila. So on the contrary, let's go back to Monday Labs one more time, as I know that some of us may not prefer to see any of the holiday animations as they may take up a little bit too much space, whatever it is. You can go ahead and select the prevent holiday animations here so that you no longer have visibility of the homepage animation or the workspace animation either. All right. So now that we've gone over the main changes on the homepage rollout, let's go ahead and take a look at the next feature, which is going to be the mute board notifications. So this is possibly my favorite new feature, and it will be housed on the board as well. So you can say hello to the new board notification menu muting capabilities. So in this case, this new feature will allow board owners to mute notifications for all board members. And yes, I know, it's been a long time coming, right? By giving board owners the capability to turn off in one-click notifications for all board members, we have empowered you all to have full control over the notification load, preventing members from getting updates that are not valuable to you or to them. So in this case, let's go ahead and dive right in. So here, once you click on board notifications, it gives you the different options. So it says mute my notifications as an individual member. So you can mute all notifications, receive notifications only from mentions and assignees, and then also receive all kinds of notifications. And here you can also, if you are the board owner, as I mentioned earlier, you are able to mute all notifications from this board for all board members. The second incredible feature that does tie this all together is the ability to mute the board notifications directly from the notification panel. So you can actually go ahead and after you check that part out, if you want to do it a little bit more seamlessly, you can also do so right from the notification panel. So here you can actually take a look at managing the notifications from the R&D captain's log in this case, or from a specific team member. You can go ahead and mute them or unmute them straight from the notifications panel. So these two amazing ways to be able to change the notifications definitely streamline and optimize your workflow. And yes, we heard you all when you all mentioned saying, hey, we'd like to have more customization when it comes to being able to remove or muting notifications from a board, especially when it's a very loud board that isn't really priority to receive notifications from. There you have it. All right. So hope everyone is having a great time so far. And we're going to go ahead and tackle the next feature. So let's go learn about some more. Next up, we do have, let me see, excuse me. Sorry about that. Oh, I just saw on the chat really quickly that the screen is not appearing as big as we would like. So I'll go ahead and click on view. And I'll go ahead and zoom in a little bit more for everyone. Let me know if this is much better. All right, thumbs up over here. We got a thumbs up. Let's do a little bit. I think this should be fine. If anybody else wants me to zoom in a little bit more, just let me know, but hopefully this works. And all right, so as I was mentioning, we just tackled the board notifications. Let's go ahead and take a look at our Monday work docs. So, all right, everyone. Next up, again, one of my other favorite Monday features and tools are the work docs, which are a great tool for collaborating with other team members on a live document. Released in the last few months, for those of you who aren't familiar with them, work docs are a collaborative document that can be used for note-taking, brainstorming, imaging, team planning, and more. You can also create them as a standalone document straight from the workspace section or within our files. So you are probably wondering why I haven't showed them to you yet, and it's because I want to actually show you how to get started with them. In that case, the same way that we add a board, you add a board from a template, you add a dashboard, you are actually able to add the work docs straight from the workspace. So we're going to go ahead and do that first, and then I'll show you guys how to be able to add it through the file column. So here we have the three different options, the same thing as a board. So it has much of the same visibility as a board does when it comes to the privacy. So we have the main doc type, which is visible to everyone in the account, no privacy there. Then we have the ability to work privately. So the private doc would just be for yourself or with selected team members that you do personally invite to the doc itself, and shareable, which this is actually amazing because you're able to share these docs with guests outside of your account. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and create the main doc. And here we have it. So this is how it's going to look. For those, again, of you that aren't familiar with the work docs yet, happy to show you guys a little bit more. But you see, one of the main things that sets work docs apart from other document tools is the ability to also embed building blocks from your account inside of them. So this is going to be the part that does include the new feature. Since the work docs are a little bit older or have been around for a couple months, that is not the new feature we're talking about. The new feature is actually the ability to use these amazing work doc building blocks and the building block store or the doc store to be able to select anything you may need from these lists. All you need to do is go ahead and either use a / or just select the plus button or the add content button right at the beginning of any of these paragraphs. And instead of scrolling through here, you're actually able to see a more cohesive view when you select more options. So this definitely adds another level to your team collaboration. And most importantly, the data inside the blocks from your boards will always be live and up to date. So here we have the different blocks. So we have the essentials where you can select from bulleted lists to the board and widget, etc. Then we have the different layouts that you can select. So here we have the different tables, layout number 3, especially if you want to use a lot of files or documents or pictures, you can do that too. Then we have the way to be able to embed. So we can embed YouTube, Vimeo, Airtable, etc. And then we can select from productivity, collaboration, and then we have the templates. So one thing that I do want to mention is that the block store supports textual search by keywords that allows you to easily find and learn about all the features and block types that exist in the docs. It does contain some inline templates for popular use cases and exposes capabilities that were hard to find before. So how can you access these templates? You can see it right here. So from the block store as well. And I did see one question that somebody missed how I was able to add this new work doc. In this case, we're going to go ahead and just select the add button right here, the same way you would do it through a board or for a board, we would do it through the doc. So in this case, once again, we're covering the blocks store. So how can you access a block store one more time, you ask? In this case, you can just use the / or the add options. Over here, we're going to select more options, and then you can see clearly that we have all of these different amazing options to choose from. But one of the things that I do want to show you is one of the templates that are pre-made so that it just simplifies your day-to-day work. In this case, we have the templates which are for meeting notes, to-do list, feature specs, marketing brief, project plans, etc. Let's go ahead and take meeting notes since we are using a current meeting and we are in a webinar right now. So this is what it would look like if you select the meeting notes template. So here we have the attendees, meeting goals, agenda. And one thing that I do want to mention is that with the templates, like the board and all other templates you're able to create and set up and use, you are able to also edit. So you can always edit this template to your liking and so forth. So now that we've gone over what our work docs are and what the new docs block store has to offer, we're actually going to go ahead and take a look at how we can add the docs as well right from the board itself as well. So in this case, we're going to go ahead and go back to the board notice board. And one other way that you can add a work doc, not just from the workspace, you can also add it through the file column. We're going to go ahead and select the files column over here. And once you click into it, you're able to create a doc straight from the files column. So it allows you to select any previously created doc that you want to work on or attach to that specific item, but then you're also able to create a brand new doc or choose a doc from templates. And then here we have the ability to do so. And what this does on the actual files column, it allows you to select templates from the entire account. So pre-made templates that have been created on your account, you're able to choose from them as well. All right. So now that we've gone over how to be able to add it through the files column and how to add the docs from scratch, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the next feature enhancement. So the ability to share docs outside of your organization by generating a public link. So as you all can see, we have the share button up here. And once you select the share button, you have the option to be able to share it with anybody on the account. And you can also select the privacy where who can edit this doc or the permission. So only work docs owners can edit this doc or everyone else who has access to it. I'm going to select everyone who has access to it. But with this new ability to be able to generate a public link, you can better collaborate in real time with people outside of your organization without having to leave your Monday account. So I know that I mentioned earlier that you're able to add the docs in the same way that you can add a board, which is main, private, and shareable. But in this case, when it's a shareable board, that person still needs to be added as a guest. In this case, when you get a public link, that person that receives that link can view it without needing to have a Monday account or profile on your account. This new feature does come after a lot of feedback, especially those working with people outside of the organization that had to then utilize other doc platforms alongside Monday in order to share the doc publicly. So thankfully, there is no longer the need for this, and this is no longer the case. So all you need to do is go over to where it says get public link. And if you're having doubts, once you have shared the link, you can stop the sharing anytime the link won't be reachable anymore. So all you have to do is select the on button, and then afterwards you can always turn it off. Now, if you want to share it again, but you're not sure who has the link already, you can always regenerate a new link instead. One last thing to mention is that this feature will not be available for our trial or free accounts, but all other plan types are able to make use of it in its entirety. And now that we've gone over the docs, how to create them, and how to set up the public link, we are going to go ahead and take a look at how to set up the doc column as well. So we're going to go back to our use case board over here. I'm going to go ahead and move this into the folder, and we're back on the use case board. So we added the doc here from the files column. The next feature we have is the docs column itself. So whether you want to choose the files column to be able to add the doc through, or straight from the doc column, this is our new enhancement. So in order to be able to add it, you're going to go ahead and follow these steps. So again, you guys saw me press on the add column button. Here we have the add column icon. We're going to go ahead and select more columns to open the column store. Then we are going to go ahead and type in Monday doc, and it's going to be under the essential. So you don't necessarily have to type in the word Monday doc. You can always scroll down to find it. And we're going to go ahead and add to board. Just that simple. Then afterwards, for each item that you'd like to add a doc to, you would click on the Monday doc icon to create the new doc, as you can see here. And it's taking a little bit of time, but it should be up right now. Perfect. And voila, there you have it. We've created our very first Monday doc right from the doc column. Some things to make note of are that the column only supports adding one doc per cell. So as you can see it here, we're only able to add one doc at a time, although there is an option to create more than one column per item. So in that case, you do want to add multiple new docs to the item itself. You can go ahead and do it one more time. So we're going to go ahead and add the new Monday doc column. And let's say you want to specialize this for doc 1 for project manager, and then let's say doc 2 project manager over here. You are able to add multiple different docs on their own to the item as well. One more thing I do want to mention as well is that the account guest cannot create docs from the doc column. In that case, it would need to use the files column instead. And one other thing as well is that sharing docs on doc column is only allowed based on the permissions of the respective board, and any new doc created using the doc column inherits the respective board, item, and column permissions. So I'm just going to go ahead and walk you all through what this means really quickly. So in this case, let's say that the account or the board owner would like to then go ahead and restrict this column edit, and it's only allowed for column view. The person who is able to view this doc is not able to edit it afterwards. So here, once again, you can check here that says this column is locked for edit for some users. And then you can go ahead, if you are a board owner, you can go ahead and change the column permissions by just adding any other person's name to be able to add them to this specific board and column as well. Then the other thing that I do want to mention is that if you do have board permissions and advanced board permissions as well, this will also then affect the visibility of the doc column. The same thing with all other columns and most other columns as well. Let's say if you select view only items that are assigned to users or created by them in people column, then in that case, when you go ahead and add this, they will not be able to use or view other docs that have been added to other items unless they are subscribed to them. So hopefully that makes sense. And it definitely is, at the end of the day, an incredible addition to the platform because it does, again, make everything so much more streamlined when it comes to creating a doc and attaching it to an item that it is directly related to. And lastly, any work doc that is newly created in the doc column will exclusively be located within the individual board it was created in. So this allows for the doc to live in the respective board and adds a sense of privacy to the workflow as well. Whew, so far, we've covered some amazing user interface updates, including the homepage rollout, and then some board organization enhancements. Then we also have the work docs, but we are not done yet. So what we're going to do is move over to my personal workspace and tackle the dashboards. So hope everybody is in for a good ride. So for the next feature, we are over at my personal workspace where we'll be working with none other than our very own dashboards. For this session, we've decided to use the example of a bakery named Brooklyn Bakery. And as you can see, this is the dashboard itself. Brooklyn Bakery to depict the enhancements and new features added to our dashboards. That being said, I do know that we have many incredibly interesting industries with us here today. So don't worry if this isn't the exact same use case as your organization. As I show the features in this context, you can always keep them in mind as how they will apply to your workflows as well. So before we move on to the dashboard, we definitely need to get some context. And using that, we're going to go ahead and move to the board that will provide all the amazing information that will go towards our dashboard. Alrighty, so for context, let's go ahead and take a look at this board, and we'll be using it to feed into the dashboard. But in this specific use case, we'll be tracking our team's schedule by week and broadcasting the data over to our dashboard in order to better visualize our team's workload amongst other stats as well. For those of you who are not aware of what the dashboards are, these are the building blocks in Monday which allow you to build reports based on one or more of your boards. Using a range of different widgets, you can report on the metrics that are helpful for you to see your workflow. So in this case, I'm going to go over to the dashboard one more time and just show you that we do have only 3 widgets here on the dashboard currently, because this is what I'm going to be showcasing today. But you always have the option to add many more widgets to your dashboard, and you can always add them as on an as-need basis. So you can always add them now. And then down the road, they will still have the live and in action updates coming from the designated board that is connected as well. So here we have the dashboard itself. And for those of you that are familiar with it, this is what it looks like. For those of you that aren't familiar with it, once you have one or more boards that you want to create and visualize and see on a dashboard, you're able to create one straight from where I showed you guys, where you're able to create the new board, a new doc, but now you can also create the new dashboard as well. And once you create the new dashboard, you get the option to select how many connected boards you want to see. And what that does is it includes the data from those boards within this dashboard. So we're only going to be utilizing Brooklyn Bakery, the work schedule, which is what we discussed, which was the use case that we're working with today. And now I'm going to go ahead back to be able to show you guys a little bit more about what is going to be going on in this case. So what you can see here, again, I had mentioned that we're going to be tackling our team's schedule week by week. So we have week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, and it's all split up into different groups. The one that we're mainly going to be focusing on is week 1, since this is one that has already passed, but we do want to be able to track and be able to be on top of it since we are going to be auditing the account and the schedules. So that is where our dashboard and our new dashboard features come in. So the first of the 2 new features we'll be showcasing is our amazing new advanced sub-item filters. Until now, filters did not support sub-items, making it incredibly difficult to be able to drill down on data in dashboards pulled from sub-items in your board. Although there are still some limitations, such as being able to filter the sub-items using the advanced filter, this is a huge milestone for any of you with sub-item heavy workflows. So I'm going to go ahead and show you all what we can now do utilizing the sub-item filters. So I went ahead and already preset this one here, but in order to add a new filter, if you're already familiar with it, and if you're not, what you can do is instead of clicking on the actual filter by anything section, which shows everything like this. You can select it from here from this button and go to switch to advanced filters, or simply click on the arrow down here next to the filter option on the dashboard. Then you can go ahead and add a new filter. So what this is going to do is not only the way that we're used to with the item filtering, all we need to do is scroll a little down where it says column, and it allows us to select any of the columns from the sub items to be able to filter through them. So this is, again, a huge milestone, not only for Monday users and for Monday itself, but just for absolutely any user that is utilizing, and for all of you that are utilizing sub items and would like to get some better visualization on your dashboard. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and filter by date, and it's going to be the sub item date. Then we're going to select, we can also select any of the parameters that we have here, but I'm just going to keep it simple, and we're going to select that when date is either last month or this month, it'll show up on the dashboard. So we're going to go ahead and save these filters. And let's make sure that it's saved. There we go. All right. So in our case, since our team members are assigned to their main tasks from within the scheduling board's sub-items, we'll go ahead and use this board, the brand new sub-item filters, to crack down on the team's hours worked for the last week of November and the first week of December. That's exactly why I added last month and this month. And this will allow us to forecast future scheduling patterns and changes, but we don't have to stop there. As you can see, this new feature allows us to receive more advanced customization capabilities of the dashboard, but so does our next dashboard new feature. So now that we have taken a look at how to use and make use of the amazing advanced sub-item filters on the dashboard, you may or may not have realized that one of the widgets we do have displaying sub-item information is the workload widget. So this leads us to another new feature being released, more customization capabilities for the workload widget in the form of team effort breakdowns. So let me explain this a little bit further while we also show you exactly what I'm referring to. So for those of you who aren't familiar with the workload widget, which is the one that we have right here, its sole purpose is to aid in resource management, basically. Resources can be anything your business needs in order to operate effectively, but in this case, the workload view and widget serve to better allocate your team's time and our team's time for a specific project, in this case, the Brooklyn Bakery opening, or absolutely any task you desire. To measure the workload of your team members, you'll want to make sure that your board contains the following columns. So we're going to go ahead and go back to the board just to show you the columns that it needs. So in this case, it would require a people's column. So you don't see a people's column here, but when you dive a little bit deeper, and we can see that I do have a couple of sub items set up. Sorry about that. It always goes off to one side or the other, but there we have it. We can go ahead and take a look and see that we have the people column set up. We have the date column set up. We also have it up here in the item level. And then optional is always a number or a formula column to indicate effort required for each task. An example, 1 hour or 6 hours. So we do have that here as well. So we have the regular hours worked, time off, hours worked, etc. And then these are formula columns as well. But again, this is just my current use case. You can always use your own in this instance as well. So now that we know which columns we need to be able to set up the workload widget, if you're not familiar with it, we can go ahead and then take a look at the widget itself. And this will actually give you the option to split the effort done in a unified way. So what we're going to do is go ahead and select the settings on the workload widget. And once we come here, we have the different options to select the time columns that we want to utilize, the resource type, and then the newest enhancement, which is the effort and capacity. Then we have more settings down here, selecting which boards you want to utilize. We only have one board, so we don't have to tackle that one yet. And choosing which groups. So in this case, we're only going to select both first groups. So group 1 and group 2, week 1 and week 2. And if we go over to the time column, since I'm currently working again with the sub-item feature and the sub-item advanced filters, we're going to go ahead and select the sub-item date column. Then when you go to resource type, it allows you to select which kind of resource type you want to use. In that case, we're going to use the people column rather than the status, but you can always use any of these instead. Then when you select the people column, we're going to select the employee column down in the sub-items, and this is where it gets good. So here we have the effort and capacity option for the settings. So this enhancement will have the ability to split the effort in a unified way among the team. An example, there won't be an option to say that one person will have 40% of the effort and the rest of the team or the rest will be split evenly, for example. If there is a capacity definition for a person who is also part of the team, the individual capacity for the person will be taken into account. So that capacity is what we just covered in the board that I showed you that as the formula column that allocates the total workable hours or the total hours in general. So we're going to go ahead and select which column is going to define our effort. Here we have the different formula columns and the different number columns. So we're going to select that the regular working hours are going to be the ones that are going to define our effort. The same thing with the sub items. Then we're going to divide how we're going to split the effort. So either we want to split it in a 10 effort project. Let's say Dan's efforts will be 5, while Dana's will be 5 as well, or in summary. So in a 10 effort project, Dan's effort will be 10, while Donna's is 10 as well. So in this case, I'm going to select that we want to have it split so that let's say in a 40-hour week-long project, every person that is allocated for 8 hours will only work those 8 hours. The same thing if I were to allocate, let's say, a total of 40 hours, if we were to do the sum of it, then every single person that is in that project will be divided in 40 hours per person rather than 8 hours within those 40. So we're going to go ahead and do the split count, and we can also select how we can present the workload as. So we can present it as a number or as a percentage. And you might ask, but where do we have the workloads presented here? And all we have to do is scroll a little bit backwards, since it was, again, tackling the last week of November and the first week of December. And here we have that everybody has completed because it is marked as completed for them on the other column as well on the board, that they have completed 100% of their working hours. But let's say Martha didn't go ahead and complete anything on the 29th, or she was slacking a little bit, it would show the percentage of completion for that day based on the hours she worked. So in that case, the regular hours worked were 8 hours a day. In that case, if she only completed 4, it would say 50% here. Hope that makes sense. And this definitely is a huge game changer when it comes to being able to track your team's efficiency, your team's effort, and also being able to audit your team's schedule on another level. And that's also where it goes into play, and it correlates with our advanced filters that are now able to utilize sub-items as well. So this way you can always track, let's say we're going to go ahead and take a look again at last month and this month. And what we're going to go ahead and see is these 4 people, or these 3 people, sorry about that, since we do have the unassigned as well, snooping there. We have these 3 people, their efforts, and then we also have a way to be able to track how much they did, the combined hours worked per week, and hours worked per week per person as well. So definitely game changer when it comes to the dashboard in general for the workload widget, the workload view, and the advanced sub-item filters. All right, everyone. So let me know if this makes sense, and I really do hope it does. Again, we do have many more resources as well that are able to assist and go into the nitty-gritty as well. Not only additional webinars that we do offer that I'll mention at the end of this webinar, but also different resources on the Monday Academy that I'll go ahead and show you all right here while we're still working on with our workflow. And you're able to select the Monday Academy over here to take a look and learn a little bit more. If you still have a couple more questions after the webinar regarding the workflow, the workload widget, the sub items, everything like that, you can go ahead and take a look at it over here, and we will go ahead and continue. So great. I see everybody is doing good on their end. So without further ado, let's move on to our last set of amazing new features. And you're wondering what it is as well. So before we go ahead and move into our new and amazing features, the final layer of it, this is actually one of the amazing resources that we do offer. So when it comes to dashboards, you can select from the Help Center where I just showed you on the Monday Academy, and also the question mark in the Monday account as well. You can select, let's say, if you have any more questions about reporting or dashboards in Monday, you can see this particular webinar that actually shows you and takes a deep dive on what a dashboard is, how to report high level and low level reporting, and much more. So that'll tie in this webinar and that webinar cohesively in a great way. And now without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and move to our last and final updates. So we'll be wrapping up today's webinar with some incredible enhancements that have been made to none other than, as you can see, our Monday mobile apps. So to kick off the new mobile app features in a very festive way, let's take a look at our new and improved holiday themed updates on iOS, where we've actually given this release of our iOS app a playful and animated facelift, providing holiday themed animations for our splash screen, pull to refresh, like button, done statuses, and the navigation logo as well. So let's take a look at these amazing updates in order. So let's check it out. First, we have the big splash animation when you first open up the app. And this is actually incredible because, as you can see, it kind of looks like a little snowboarder on whenever you open the app. And then we have the amazing logo update, which brings the Monday logo to life. The next animation you may have already seen if you've been completing your tasks this month straight from your device is the done status with some holiday flair. Then coming up, we have the absolutely cutest snowman jumping in sync with our refresh of the page. And last but not least, we have an animation that is subtle yet festive, and it's none other than the like button adorned with some charming snowflakes, as you can see here. All right, right there. And while we can't get over the new holiday themed animations, we also have to give credit to the rest of the new mobile app features. So we're going to start off with the ability to be able to create board views now from mobile app on Android devices. So this new feature was added with the intention that it does reflect not only on the mobile app the same way that it does on your regular browser board, but also with the desktop as well. So as you can see from the visual, you can not only create the board views, but you can also now rename and delete a board view right from your device. Then piggybacking off of the ability to create, edit, and delete board views from the mobile app, another fantastic feature is the ability to take a look at your dashboards and the views right from your device. Just to be clear, we are referring to any dashboard views built on one board like other board views, not the dashboards pulling data from multiple boards, which are already supported. As you can see here, we have the ability to take a look at the dashboard views and all the other dashboard and all the other views as well. But previously, if you tried to open your dashboard views, you would instead be greeted by a not supported screen. Now you can view your dashboard views from your mobile devices in a hosted web page, similar to dashboards from multiple boards. One thing to note is that this feature is currently supported only on iOS and will be available on the Android mobile app starting at the end of December. So we are almost there, guys. Then the next feature that is absolutely amazing, although that last act was hard to follow. But what if I told you that this next feature allows you to copy and paste any column value on the iOS mobile app? You heard correctly. So copying and pasting is now supported on the iOS mobile. All you need to do is long tap on an item's column value on your iOS mobile device or iPad, and voila. Here's another secret. Keyboard shortcuts are now supported on the iPad as well in order to further optimize your workflow and to better this already amazing feature. And lastly, the final feature we'll be covering today has been a long time coming. Android users will now have a better My Work experience to accompany the rest of these amazing new features. As you can see, My Work section has gotten a makeover and will now be able to be viewed in a list view in order to better represent your tasks organization. This change mainly comes from your very own feedback. The feedback we received is that the old My Work view appeared differently and completely different than the browser version that users are used to, and that you all are used to as well. Also, user necessity when it comes to being able to overview a list of tasks in a more compact way, showing more items on the screen as well. That being said, in case you're not necessarily too fond of the new updated version of My Work, you will also have the option to toggle between the old cards version and the new list version. All right. All right, everyone. So this completes the first part of our session. We'll be moving towards the Q&A portion shortly. I'm going to grab a sip of water, so be sure to put all of those questions in the Q&A box, and we will get to as many as we can. So I'll be back in about a minute or so. Everybody take a quick sip of water, and I will be back. All right, everyone, I'm back and I was able to take a look at some of the questions you all asked. So I'm more than happy to get started on this. I know that my amazing colleagues, Malia and Jose, have been tackling a lot of your questions in the Q&A and they have done an amazing job. So I'll go ahead and piggyback off of that as well and answer some trending topics and also some popular questions we've received. In this case, all right, we have Nicholas that wants to know, do the docs track historical changes and who made the changes when, especially for outside access? And I'm gonna go ahead and go back to my actual board. So let's actually work backwards here and let's go back to the doc example. So you actually can, that is the answer. So yes, you can go ahead and track this amazing historical access or activity log. All you have to do is go ahead and go to the three dots at the top right of the doc. And then once you are already here, you can also select the version history and see who's made the changes to what and where. And then also even further, you can have all of these different options that I didn't go over earlier, but I'm more than happy to just showcase now really quickly. So you're able to see the doc members right from the three dot menu, rename the doc, you can even duplicate it, and also take a look at the different ways to be able to save it, export it, etc. So I hope that answered your question, Nicholas. And I know that we had a couple more questions along the same lines. Then we also have another question. So it is, can you add multiple work docs to the file column? As you cannot do this on the doc column. And the answer is yes. So you can actually add multiple work docs to the files column and you should show them over here. You can actually take a look and see that once we go to the files column, this is going to go back to our original example. We're going to go ahead and add a random doc from here. But then also I want to add another one. And it gives me the option to select multiple. So it's kind of like a drop down for the doc column or for the docs in the files column. So let's go ahead and select another one. And it's going to be the example doc. So here you can actually attach multiple different docs from within the files column here. Again, you are not able to do so from the doc columns independently, as this is an independent working column itself. And once again, just to touch base on one of the great perks of this feature as well is the fact that all of the docs created within the Monday Docs column, not the files column, but the Monday Docs column will live solely on the board that they were created on. So I hope that helps answer your question. And let's go ahead and take a look at, let's see if we can answer two more before we have to hop off. Let's see. All right. So the next question is there a max or limit or a max number for connected boards? So this actually is a great question. I did see that we had a couple more questions along the same lines. And although it doesn't tackle anything on the features that we've released, it does definitely assist when it comes to the board creation, high-level boards, and even when it comes down to the docs and the dashboards that we also discussed. So that will definitely depend on the plan tier that you have. So not all plans will have the same amount of connected boards that are supported. So for example, just to give you a quick recap, the standard plan does support 5 connected boards. Pro plan allows you 10 boards, and enterprise is up to 50 boards as well. So that is a great and amazing question. Let's see if we can tackle one more. I think we have time for actually 2 more. So I lied last time. We have 2 more that we can tackle. Has the max number of boards that can be linked to the workload. Okay, let me see if I can reread this question really quickly. Is there a max number of boards that can be linked to the workload widget? So actually, this would only be applicable when it comes to, one more time, I'm going to go ahead and actually show us how it would work. So in this case, we did tackle in the last question the connect boards column limit. This one would be tackling the workload board limit. But one thing that I do want to highlight is that the workload widgets and the widgets itself they do not have a limit in its entirety. The way that it would depend and how it would be limited is by your personal plan type and how many connected boards you can have on the dashboard itself. So again, that would go back to the previous question. And based on that, again, the standard type or the standard plan would allow you to add up to 5 boards, the Pro 10 boards, and the Enterprise up to 50 boards. So let's say you are a standard plan user and you want to go ahead and see multiple different boards connected and see the different ability or the different capabilities of the workload widget. You would only be able to do so on one specific dashboard with those 5 boards that are allowed. But one thing that I do want to share, and it is a nice little neat tip and trick, is if you do want to showcase multiple boards and it is not within your plan's tier capabilities, what you can do, let's say again, let's use the standard plan as an example. You can go ahead and create multiple different dashboards that tackle 5 different boards at a time. So in that case, that would be a nice little workaround when it comes to maybe you have different workflows or different workspaces that do tackle, let's say, a quarter a year or different quarters of the year for working purposes. And in each quarter, you have 5 boards. You can then do an add, let's see, we can create a Q1 dashboard and select the dashboard to be main, create the dashboard. And then here, once it gives you the option to select the boards, you can go ahead and select up to 5 boards for the standard plan. Again, 10 for the Pro and 50 for the Enterprise. But that would be a good workaround in that case. But there necessarily, again, there isn't really a limit when it comes to the widgets itself. It's mostly on the dashboard in its entirety. And let's go through one more question. Let me see. Let's see which one we have that might be a pattern or a trending topic. All right. So we have one more question. I did see that it was in relations to dashboards. So it says, how can I save dashboards at a point in time? So one thing that I do want to mention again is, as I mentioned earlier, dashboards do work on a live and an action basis. So as soon as you change something within the board that it's reflecting, it will then go ahead and showcase that same behavior on the dashboard at the same time. So one thing that I do recommend, if you do want to take a look at, let's say, since there isn't a way to be able to take like a capture or a way to be able to save that dashboard at that moment in time, one thing you can do is, again, depending if you're using the item or sub-item filters, you can actually go back in time based on the date column or any other column in your account or board, and then go back to that specific moment, go back to whatever is supported here in this column when it comes to date, or it being date-wise, or if you want to do it based off of another parameter, you can definitely do that and use the filters for that purpose. So in that case, you can always go back the same way that we went back to last month and this month. And let's say to take it even further, you can always go ahead and also take a screenshot or do the print mode on your actual browser and then print it straight from there. So I think that would be a good workaround in that case as well. But I definitely do think that using the sub item filters and the regular item filters when it comes to either being advanced, or you can use the regular filters as well to be able to go back to a point of time or be able to see a specific change that you want to see based on something specific. I hope that helps as well. All right. So that would cover today's Q&A since we are about to reach the 1 hour mark for the webinar. But now that we went through the Q&A, you guys were able to take a look at all the new features we've rolled out and the amazing, amazing new milestones that will then impact your workflow beneficially in the future and many more months to come until the next future features that are released. I do want to say a huge, huge thank you to Jose and Malia for handling all the questions during the presentation. And that being said, I do want to be transparent. And since we didn't get to all the questions today, please remember that you can always write into us at support@monday.com for personalized 24/7 support. And we'll get to as many of the trending themes and questions there as well as you guys write them in. I do appreciate your understanding and cooperation. And let's go ahead and close off the webinar for now. I know I wasn't able again to get to your questions if you guys missed the first time that I mentioned it, but one more time, we can go ahead and submit those questions over to support@monday.com. And who knows, I may just be the one to respond. Let's go ahead and take a look at another way that you can go ahead and submit that feedback or those questions that you have. We're going to go back to my account one more time, and we're going to go ahead and go to the Help Center. And right here from there, you can go ahead and select Contact Us to call, write, or chat. I hope you all have an amazing rest of your week and happy holidays. Have a good one, everyone. Hope you all enjoyed today's new feature webinar and releases.